And hello again, and here we are back in my garage on a very nice day. So I'm busy just spraying up a few small parts. They're hanging out there now in the sunshine. Just some small things like the hinges to the seats and so on that I forgot to do a few weeks ago. And right now actually it's quite a good time for the project because it's at the time when at last I'm starting to bolt new parts to the frame using new fasteners, you know, painted parts, polished parts. They're no longer dirty and horrible. We're starting to get somewhere now. And in fact what I've been doing now is bolting up my brand new race sprocket to the sprocket carrier. And unfortunately I only had let's see, 5 appropriate brand new stainless steel fasteners, so I've got one dirty old nut on there, but I'll order some more today when I go into the house. So yeah, it's starting to look up a little bit, and I'm now going to wheel the frame out into the sunshine and we'll do a bit more work and hopefully start that reassembly at last. Okay, so here's the frame out in the sunshine for a change, and so let's make a start. Now I've already bolted on the swing arm, and I've just bolted on the rear fiberglass mudguard. All new fasteners, stainless steel, it's all going quite well. So let's carry on. And so let's start off with something easy, which is this battery box. Let's put that on the frame, let's dig out some new fasteners for it, and then we can add the electric tray which bolts to it. There we go, get some fasteners, an easy job. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Battery box in place. I've used these stainless steel cap heads, and of course I've Loctited it on to the frame using Loctite 222. So moving on then, and I want to fit this rather strange looking electric tray. And I know it goes on this side and you think, obvious how it goes, but it's not. I can't quite work out how it fits onto the frame. So good news is, A, I've got a manual, and B, I photographed everything as I took this bike apart, so I have a little break, have a tea break, and go back and check my photographs, and it'll tell me exactly how that thing should fit. I've also thought, oh hang on, I found these tank rubbers which go on the front of the frame here, little tank at the front there, and they just fall off. And I seem to recall that when I took them off they were wrapped in tape to try and keep them in place. And I think what's happened is these are either the wrong ones, because in fact they're 2 different styles, or they're just perished and got old over time. So I'll add that to my list of parts I need from Z Power next time I go. So that's a bit of a blow, but never mind. Right, let's see what else we can fit. And so next easy job is to fit this engine bracket to the frame. And as luck would have it, I've got a few very expensive, very nice Pro Bolt hex nuts here, which should do the job. Unfortunately, the bottom one is fine, you can see there, top one a bit too long. Clearly that one's not quite right, whereas we used the ones I've got with a shorter one. It's like Goldilocks, isn't it? That's too short. Works for that, doesn't work for that. So I'll have to order one that's a little bit longer than this one and a bit shorter than this one. Anyway, at least I'm getting there, So, in actual fact, really, I mean, these bolts were too good for this bike, because these things are about £6 each. So I wasn't going to fit the whole bike with Pro bolts, because you're going to spending £200 or £300 or £400 just on bolts, which, you know, isn't really justified on a bike like this. On a great big project bike, you know, like the Mark II, the 1170 it might be, but not on this one, I don't think, not on this one. But since I've got them, I may as well use them. So, okay, I've got to write that down now and make a note of it, and I'll order one tonight when I'm online. Right, okay, let's see what's next. Meanwhile, hanging from my garage roof are these 2 seat hinges, which have had about 2 or 3 coats of good old Hammerite spray paint so far today, and I'll give it a few more. Yeah, no problem. You can't see it on the bike, but you know, it's nice to fit nice painted parts, not all rusty things. So it does no harm, does it, to give it a few coats. And this spray paint is fantastic stuff. If you use it on steel, you know, it's absolutely like powder coat. Give it 3 or 4 coats and it'll last you for a long time, that's for sure. Right, while that dries off, I shall go and have a cup of tea. And so next, I'm just going to test fit of these ZRX shocks to the bike. I must say the length looks about right, fit okay, quite happy with the way they look. Of course, as usual, I don't have the correct M12 nut to go on the top shock here, so I have to order those along with a few other fasteners that I'm missing at the moment. And so next up then, I think I'll fit the big plastic rear mudguard which goes here, and that's next. And now here we have the plastic under tray for the rear mudguard. Cleaned up a little bit, still got a bit of overspray here from the chain lube, I'll get that off in a minute. But I've noticed that where it mounts to the frame at the top here, it's quite badly split. So I'm not, you can't really repair it easily, I think. Ideally I'd go and buy a new one, but I guess they're not that common. So I think what I'll do is I'll try using some super glue just to lock off that split, and I'll fit some penny washers on the inside just to help it spread out that load a little bit. That said, this guard is not under any real load. The main way it's held in place is by these little wings on the side of the guard, and they slot into a groove on the inside of the frame here, and that's it really. I mean, I think, yeah, you could run it without these bolts in place and it'll be okay, but you know, you don't want to do that, so that's what we'll do next. Also, you might realise that I fitted this shock the wrong way around, sort of, if you like, the left and the right and the right and the left, because the KYB wasn't visible. So I'll press it down now, run the bike, but I've noticed that the rubber bones inside this top mount here is very loose. Look at that, you know, that should be a nice tight fit, a nice firm fit. It's not, so I suspect that the rubbers are just worn over time. Now if you ride the bike like that, yes it will work, but there's a little bit of movement there that worn rubber bung will allow, and over time, not that long actually, it will hammer that rubber bung into just nothing. It will just destroy it. So I need to find out if I can buy replacement rubber bungs for these shocks and get them on the bike before I ride it. Anyway, that's something for the future. Right now I've got to find some degreasants to get all that chain all off, and we'll get it on the bike. And now I fitted that in a mudguard. The bike went okay, although I didn't realise that. I had to remove this outer part of the mudguard first, but you live and learn. Next up then, I was planning to fit front end, the forks and so on, but that would mean making the bike a lot longer, and right now there's not much room in my garage, so we'll leave that for the day. So next then, I've got to clean the bearing surfaces of the wheels, put the new bearings in the freezer for a while, get them out and get those bearings in the wheels. Then I can take the wheels to the tyre place, get new tyres, I'll probably get Avons as usual, and then I can fit the forks and hopefully get this bike back into wheels maybe tomorrow or Tuesday. Today's actually Sunday, so we'll continue the video when I'm doing that. And now here we are, it's the next day, and yes, it's the same t-shirt, I don't care, I'm working on the bike. So I've just been busy going through this box of parts here, spare parts, and working out what I've got to do next. You know, I've got the rear wheel spindle here, you know, some front wheel spindle and so on. I went through some of these bolts and so on that hold the engine in place, and I must say they are worse for wear. I don't even think the correct bolt is one that's threaded all the way through, which I think is not correct, so that's something I might have to review. I think what I might do is I might make some replacements in stainless steel. Luckily they're not too thick, these bolts, so it shouldn't cost too much money, because I can't fit them. I mean, okay, you only see a bit of the bolt, but I know it's all rusty and whatever, and having a threaded bar here all the way down is not correct. I've also found these brackets, one's been chrome for some reason, I don't think it should be, and one's just black, so I've got to sort that out, work out where they go. I think they go on here. Anyway, I was doing all that, and then I discovered this wrapped up very carefully, separate. It's like, oh, hang on, what's that doing there? And this is a spacer for the swing arm pivot, but I'd already fitted the swing arm. I wonder why it was a bit stiff when I moved it, and me, in my stupidity, I was just like, wasn't thinking, forgot to fit it. So I had to take out all the back end, grease this up now, clean it, and put it in the swing arm, and then fit it all back together again. So, you know, I guess I wasn't really paying attention, I wasn't feeling very well, but anyway, at least I found it before I tried to ride the damn thing. So let's get that in, get everything back together again, and then we can move on. And now that's that spacer fitted with plenty of grease, and guess what? It actually works again now, as it should do. I don't know. I mean, honestly, if there's a right way and a wrong way of doing something, I'll always find the wrong way it first, but hopefully I'll find the right way eventually. Right, so now I can refit these shocks, refit some more parts I've got here, such as the rear axle adjusters and so on, and then we'll see what else I can get wrong. And so now we've got one shock on, but before I fit the other one, I thought I'd just do some measuring, because this hole here in the rubber grommet does seem very loose on the stub of the frame. So I've measured it. The stub of the frame is 14 millimeters, and this one, double check, this hole here, it's more like, right this time, yeah, 17 millimeters, so that's a heck of a difference. I mean, so it's not worn, these little rubber inserts aren't worn, just a different size. So how can we get around that? It's difficult, I think, to find a rubber insert to give me the correct 14 mil thickness for these stubs when it's fitted to a pretty standard ZRX swing arm. So I think what we'll have to do, get our Jeff to make me a couple of little spacers. Let's see, 14, 17, 1.5 mil thick, that'll slot over these stubs and give me the clearance I need. Bit of a pain, but you know, you can expect these things to happen when you're trying to fit, you know, shocks from a 2002 ZRX to a bike that was built in 1978. So no great problem if you know a man called Jeff who can make such things. So I'll just put it on now for just temporarily, and then we can move on. And so next out of the box is this rear wheel spindle. So let me fit it temporarily to the rear swing arm, so I'll use it. And the nuts a bit bashed, and I can get a new one of them, I think. The adjusters looked a bit oily, but I think they're okay. I think maybe they've been re-chromed in the past. Certainly this thing, spacers, looks like it's been chromed in the past. Underneath all the grease and muck, it's actually in good condition, that's fine. Can't say the same about this spacer here though. This, I suspect that wasn't chrome to begin with, it's been chrome in the past, and that chrome is now flaking off, which is pretty unsightly. So I think we can do something with that. And here's the other adjuster. Now, the spindle itself, yes, if it was a full restoration, I would either replace this or get it replated, whatever it was originally. I don't know, cadmium plated or whatever it was. But this is not a full restoration, and I'm not spending £10,000 on it, so it'll stay as is. But what I will do, I think, is to look at this thing here, this little spacer that's been once chromed. That chrome is now flaking off. So I don't like chrome, I don't like getting things chromed, because it takes forever. And of course it's going to flake in time. I won't do it in aluminium because that needs polishing and looking after. So I think what I'll do is I'll get Jeff to replicate that in stainless steel. Give it a good polish, it'll never need polishing ever again, which suits me just fine. So I'll leave it out for the time being because I think I can copy that. What I will do though is let's pop that back there. Let's see if we can do this now. If it works. Put them in there. Things are a bit stiff actually, a bit sort of difficult to fit because the powder coat is so thick. So which is good, but it means you do have to be a bit careful at times. So we'll pop him in there. Pop him in there. Clean later on. It's full of grease, that's fine. Oops, there you go, look, the weight's going again. And then this one, on this side. That actually fit the front end next because this thing's getting very imbalanced. Let's just get him in there. There we go. It's good to fit things like this because then you don't lose it, you don't worry about losing the damn things. Now I will get a new castle nut at this end here. I just ordered some parts from Z Power last night. I bought a few small things, many rubber parts of the bike. You know, the grommets for the tank, some mounts for the, let's see, the footrest mounts, that sort of thing, because they're rubber mounted and such like. And yeah, it soon adds up. It's always a small parcel, but it's £56. So I think these cost about £6, but I think I'll spend the money and replace it. So yeah, I mean I could get a stainless steel one, I guess, but it's quite a big size, so I don't know. Right, we'll pop him on there for the time being, so I don't lose it. And then we'll add that to the list of jobs I've got for Jeff to replicate that thing. Hopefully this week or next week. He's busy at the moment, so I can't go and see him. Right, so what's next then? What's next? Let's have a look in the box. Oh, got here. Carefully wrapped up. Some spacer, I think. Oh yeah. This is a spacer for the rear wheel and the all-important circlip to hold the bearings in place. As I speak, those brand new bearings for the wheels are sitting in my freezer. They've been in there all night, so hopefully we can soon start to put those bearings and spacers back in the wheel. What's got here? It's got the front wheel spindle, not brash, it's a bash, whatever. Now I have got this stainless steel space here that Jeff made for me to replace this, because I can't use the original cable speedo drive because the brakes get in the way, so that is redundant, replaced by this, so we'll have to use a electronic speedo. Right, that's that. Let's get cracking. And now the last job of the day is to fit the new bearings to the wheels. So I've cleaned out the recesses there, and I've got myself prepared. So these are the old bearings here. I'm not using them. And there's the all-important spacer, which I mustn't leave out, along with the important circlip. I've also got a socket here, which is just the right size to fit inside the hole of the bearing, so I can lock them down quite safely. I've got my rather cheap and cheerful Bergen circuit pliers here. I've also got a pair of my recently bought Kipex or Nipex German circuit pliers, and these are fantastic. I find these things a bit too big for a bike, but this German company Nipex, they make every possible size and type you can ever imagine. So I've only got two so far, but I think I'll slowly build up my collection because they're quite expensive, about 20 or 30 pounds each. But yeah, well worth having, so hopefully that one will do the job. So now I'm going to go in the house to my freezer, grab the bearings, bring them back, and hopefully they'll go in without a fight. And so now I've got the bearings out of the freezer. Work quickly so they don't thaw out. First though, get a little bit of grease on this recess here. There we go. That's it. Then in it goes. Oh, let me get my socket. Just about the right size. Then hopefully just tap it in without a problem. And in it goes. Not yet anyway. Pretty tight, that's okay. I mean, imagine how tight it'll be if it didn't freeze down the bearings. Ideally you should use a press for this, but I don't have one, so let's go with brute force at the moment. Let's just take it easy. Easy in, yeah, that's in now, it's bottomed. So now the next job is to take my circlip and get him in there. Using my nice new Kipex or Nipex German circuit pliers. Let's hope this goes okay. I'm sorry you're looking at the back of my head right now. There we go. Right, let's have a look. Big squeeze. There we go, that's it. So that's one in. Turn it round now. The other one. And don't forget the blooming space that lives in. So moving on then to the rear wheel. I've left the wheel out in the sunshine for a while, getting nice and warm. Cleaned up the bearing surfaces, got the grit out, bit of grease in there. So then popped in the house, in the freezer, grabbed my bearings that have been in there all night, still quite cold, to fit them to the wheel. Only to find they don't fit, they're too big, they're the wrong size. Don't know why, because I bought them as advertised for a bike like mine, but they don't fit, so I'll have to wait a few days to go and get some more proper bearings which fit the bike, and then we can continue. So let's put that aside then and move on to something else. And so moving on then, I've now fitted the rear tail section and the new Giliari seat. I've used brand new stainless steel pins in this that I got from the same place I got the other stainless steel parts for, and yeah, supposed to fit okay. However, there is one problem with the seat, and that is when I got the bike, it didn't have a seat lock. Okay, you think, no problem, I'll go find one. Well, guess what? They're not really available. But you're going to buy one new, and I think when I checked on Z Power, it was £94 for seat lock. It also means, I think, that the key will be different from the key for the ignition and the filler cap, but maybe it's different anyway, I don't know. Seems a bit low, so yeah, be careful with that. It works quite well with my freshly painted hinges, which you can't see. Yeah, it all seems to work okay. And I must say, for £175, this seat is quite a bargain, given that it will cost me about £150 to get the old seat reupholstered, and that's an old seat with a rusty base and so on. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Now, I can't yet fit well, I could, but I can't really fit the tank yet, because I'm still waiting on the rubber bungs which fit here, the front of the frame, to engage with the front of the tank. They're on their way. The old ones are old and not really fitting very well, they fell off, so I won't do that yet. So next I want to fit the Kawasaki Z650 tail lamp underneath here. Now, I've made a bracket already, but I've not yet drilled it and worked out how it's going to fit, because I'm waiting to get the rest of the bike back together again. And it might be quite tricky because this is angled and I need to get the angle of the lamp just right. So let's make a start. Okay, and so here we have the Kawasaki Z650 rear lamp that we made a bracket for, and I've just been playing around with it, seeing how it's going to fit, how to do it. It's actually quite tricky, because if you don't want it pointing up like this, it's got to be angled down to level with the ground almost. And that's tricky because this is angled and the hole's quite big, and in fact, when you've got it at the right height, these holes are almost in line with the edge of this bracket, so it's really difficult to get right. However, I have got an alternative option, and that is, I've got another lamp here. This is from a Kawasaki, it's ER5 or ER6, can't remember now. This was bought for the 1170, but having tried them all out, actually I think I might use this one on the 1170 because it's a bit wider, and the back end of the 1170 is a lot wider. It's about an inch wider than this anyway, and therefore I can use this one on here. It's a little bit simpler shape. I think it might work a bit better with the retro look. So we've already made a bracket for it, so my task now is to work out how to drill it and what spaces we need to mount it like this. It doesn't want to be like that. This angle is wrong. It used to be like that. To do that, yeah, quite fiddly, but we'll get there in the end. Also, please note that this is actually a lot longer than it needs to be, and that's because at some point it's mounted, I'm going to bend this lower part of the bracket out of it, because this is where the number plate will be mounted to, so a license plate. So that's why it's over long. Put it down a wee bit and narrow it down, make it look pretty, but that's why it's so long. And ditto this one as well. Yeah, so I think I'll go with this option. First time I'm actually trying it all out now. And yeah, something like that. I mean, you can see it better than I can, but I think something like that might work quite well. It's all Kawasaki, of course. I did think about buying an aftermarket rear lamp, but quite honestly, they're all crap qualities compared to OE. So you can pick one of these up in good condition for £15, you know, and it's a fantastic quality compared to the Chinese stuff you get for double the price. So I've gone for OE parts second hand. Yeah, so, and this one's quite good. Tried it out, the balls work, so that's fine. And of course it's always Kawasaki, it's all Kawasaki, which is handy, I guess. Keeps the bike fully Kawasaki, almost anyway. Yeah, so I think we'll go with that option rather than that one. Now I've got to spend, I don't know, quite a while just measuring and marking things quite carefully before I drill this plate once and for all. So I'll come back when I've done that. In the meantime, I think I'll have a little break, cup of tea, then I'll carry on. Oh, but one more thing. I looked at some of the video I took earlier on, and I must say, the bird song was so loud, it was unreal. I mean, it's a bit quiet now, the birds seem to have quieted down a wee bit, but I do apologise for the birds, but not much I can do about that. So now here we are, it's the next day, and a small box has just arrived from Z Power with a few of the parts I ordered. And amongst those parts are dome nuts here at the top of the shocks, the rubber mounts at the front of the tank, and also some other rubber mounts, for example for the foot pegs. And the foot pegs are a bit of a strange one because I just dug them out and I found something a bit odd. And so in the parcel I just received from Z Power were some rubber mounts to go on here to help rubber mount the foot pegs. So I grabbed all the foot pegs, clean, got dirty, and I thought, hang on, what's going on here? Because I'm not sure you can tell, but this has had a hell of a weld here. It's got some damage to it, and I think what's happened is the bike's crashed and it snapped this peg, or the peg mount, and someone's come along and welded it back together again, which is okay, you know, that's fine. It's a good weld, but my god, it's not very neat. You can see here all that rough weld. So I think I'll have to well, spend a bit of time with some wet and dry on that and clean it all up. Maybe try and make it look a bit more presentable, paint it, and then it can finally go on the frame like so. So yeah, just more evidence of the bike's history. It's like digging into the past, isn't it? Like archaeology. But anyway, I'll get that sorted out at some point and then we'll get it back on the bike. And now, as you can see, I've got the front forks back on the bike at last. Bit of a struggle because it's quite heavy and doing it all on your own, but I got there in the end. So now last thing to do is to bolt on my nice new shiny stainless steel top nut, and that should be done. It's a bit of a relief actually, because these are quite heavy. I think they're about 27 pounds without the calipers, maybe 30 altogether, and it's doing it all by hand, one-handed. It's not ideal, so I'll just leave that loose for the time being. Just nip up these bolts, and that's good. Clearly I can't fit the wheels yet. Actually I could fit the front wheel. I've got the front wheel bearings in, but they've got to go off for tyre soon. Can't do that until I get the bearings for the rear wheel, which I ordered, but they'll be here in a few days time. So yeah, I'm getting to the point now where I can't do much else. Actually what I can do is, I can now refit some more rubber parts to the bike, such as for the side panel mounts, get the side panels on, and then I think I've got another job to do with the side panels, which is to paint the Z650 badges, because they look a bit second hand. And so now, as you can see, it's starting to look like a bike again. Got the front end on, that went quite well. I won't fit the handlebars yet because they take up too much room and it's in the garage. I've now got to dig out all the rubber mounts for the side panels, and then no doubt I'll find lots of other jobs to do. One point I would make, which I didn't really explain before, is that one of these bolts here, these engine mount bolts, isn't correct because it's threaded all the way along. It's just a threaded bar, and that's not right. So that needs to be replaced. And if I'm doing that, I may as well make all the rest of them perhaps in stainless steel or in the N24T steel. Don't know yet. I mean, we're doing it right now for the Mark II project. We did it with the 1170, so why not do it with this one? I am trying not to spend too much money on this project. It's supposed to be like a bit of a background job, but you know, you get started and you think, oh, I can't fit that rusty old thing to the bike. Yeah, so I think we'll do that. The one thing I'm still not happy about is this horrible Triumph-esque badge that's on the tank. It's a pity because the paint was actually quite nice. It's been resprayed quite recently and the badge has been lacquered over, so it's very difficult to remove that and replace it with something better. So unless I want to spend about £500 or £600 and wait no doubt months and months to get the bike resprayed completely, it's going to stay. I know some people have seen these videos. I've mentioned that, well, they quite like this badge, so you know, some people hate it, some people like it, whatever. What I will do though is I will also replace the filler cap. The chrome on it is well, it's starting to flake a bit, seen better days, so for about £40 I think, you can get a brand new filler cap, put it on the bike, makes life a lot easier. Yeah, so that's that. I still have to go and save up and buy myself a £90 odd seat lock, because this bike doesn't have one. It also doesn't have actually the little loop that bolts to the underside of the seat that locks it into place, so I'll have to find one of those as well. But I'm pretty happy with the seat, fits okay. I've still got to work out what to do with the mounts for the rear lamp. Not had time to look into that yet, but that's something for perhaps another day. Right, so that's it so far, and we'll continue on another day.